Great evening, Facebook. I hope all of you guys had a great day today. I know my day was spectacular. I got up, ate me a good breakfast, took my behind to work, got to hang out with my friends at my job who I love very much. So it was a good day for me. I wanted to weigh in on a couple of things. You know how I do. I come and speak to you guys every now and then, and I just wanted to let you guys know a few things that was on my mind, and probably a few things that is on your mind too, in regards to some of the things you're paying attention to here in our media and in our news. First of all, let me start off by weighing in like I did in the last time I had a conversation with you guys, and that is we were talking about the power structure here in America and how it really exists, with the people at the bottom level, politicians above them, the corporations above the politicians who finance the politicians, re-elections, etc. And then we begin to talk about the ones who exist over them, which were the big banks, Bank of America, Citibank, etc., and how they answer to the Federal Reserve and the Federal Reserve to the World Bank. Now, in saying that, I'm laying out the groundwork for what I really want to talk about. And so I'm going to do it this way so you can understand when I really go into the meat of what I'm going to discuss with you. And I'm not going to take up too much of your time because I know you guys got things to do. But the bottom line is this. Like I said, there is no difference between the Republican and Democratic Party. They both answer to the same boss. And you have power structures within these parties. We all know in the Republican Party, they're called the neocons. They are what you call the powerful individuals who really dedicate the orders to the rest of the party of what they should be doing. Then on the Democratic side, you have the liberal cons. Same powerful group delegating to the rest of the Democrats what they should be doing. And both these parties answer to these global elite corporations and central bank and banking individuals. So this is how the game works, and this is why we never get anywhere. You vote a Democrat into office. He gets in there. He tells you what you need to hear in order for him to get elected, and never do what he's supposed to do for you. Okay? And so what do? Your only choice to get him out of office is to vote for the Republican. And the Republican gets in there and he does the same thing that the Democrat does, because why? They both answer to the same boss, because it's a rigged system. You're given the illusion of choice, but you don't really have a choice in this matter. You're not really given a choice at all. Bottom line, okay? So with that being said, the real thing I wanted to talk about was this Muslim ban put in place by Donald Trump. And it's got a whole lot of hoopla in the media. And you've got these Democrats coming together saying, I don't think he has the constitutional power to do it. Let's be real. It's a whole farce, really orchestrated by the Democrats and the Republicans to keep the people who are Democrats and Republicans fighting. Because the truth of the matter is that the Constitution does give the president the power to be able to ban anybody from this country that he feels may be a threat to this nation. He's given that power. But my real point is not the power that Donald Trump has to be able to do this. It is, let's get into the discussion of these countries that he's chosen to ban. Now, the countries that he's chosen to ban is Libya, Syria, Iraq, Sudan, Yemen, Somalia, and Iran. And let's take a look at these countries, because none of this is new. The suspicion and the attack on these nations have been very, very old. Going all the way back to the Reagan administration. There's 2 countries on this list right now that were targeted for regime change way back in the Reagan administration. Really three. That's Libya, Sudan, and Somalia. Reagan did what he could with Libya, passed the responsibility to do the regime change in Sudan and Somalia to George H.W. Bush, which he never got around to doing. Why? Because the war in Iraq took place, where Iraq invaded Kuwait, which distracted him from this regime change idea, and he had to go to war with Saddam to move him out of Kuwait. Now this responsibility was passed on to Clinton. Now Clinton made his move to do the regime change in the Sudan and Somalia, in which the attempt in Somalia became so disastrous that it created a movie that we watch today called Black Hawk Down. That whole movie is about Clinton sending in military soldiers to grab a warlord out of Somalia to make a regime change. Now, these regime changes have been put in place by not politicians, but by the corporate bosses, banking bosses that they listen to. One of the reasons why they want regime changes in these countries is because these countries do not, first of all, have a central bank. There is no central bank in these countries. And so that's why they're on these lists of being targeted. Now, I'm going to tell you something else. After the Clinton presidency, a neocon think tank, okay, a neocon group calling themselves, and I wrote this down so I can make sure I give you the correct information so you can look it up yourself. A neocon group called the Project of the New American Century produced a document in September of 2000. And in this document was a list of countries that they chose. They were given orders for regime change. And the name of this document was called the Multiple Theater Wars. Let me give you the names of these countries on this list. Now, this list was put together in 2000. You have Iraq, one of the countries on Trump's list. You have Libya, one of the countries on Trump's list. Syria, one of the countries on Trump's list. And the big prize has always been Iran. And another country is Lebanon. These are the countries that were chosen by regime change by this neocon group. Now, if you're going to make regime change, if you're just going to go into a country with military soldiers costing American treasure, costing American lives and blood, you have to have a good reason. 9 months after they wrote this document, we had 9/11. And after 9/11, we made up a big excuse that we needed to go into one of these countries for regime change, which was Iraq. We claimed they had weapons of mass destruction, which they never had. So we go into this country. Almost 5,000 American lives lost. 130,000 wounded. Because of a bunch of knucklehead neocons who are taking orders from individuals who don't give a damn about you to make a regime change in a country who is bothering nobody. Wasn't a threat to no one. Now you get Obama in office. Democrat, not a Republican, different party. And what does he do? He continues the regime change list by going into Syria and causing all type of problems. And then to toppling the leaders in Lebanon, where now that place is a haven for these individuals, these radical it's what they call is radical Islamic terrorists. Now you have Obama leaving office, and just before he do, guess what? He puts Donald Trump's marching orders together. And he puts these list of countries together, which you can find on a neocon list that was written over 15 years ago, which if you look at the Bush and Reagan administration, you can see two of these countries targeted for regime change as well. So this list is over 30 years old in the making. This is not nothing new. I'm trying to tell you guys that we are never going to get anywhere by voting Republicans and Democrats into office because they work for the same bosses. It's that simple. You got actual news networks, alternative news networks, and these are networks that a lot of people like to watch because we can't trust the mainstream media because we know they belong to the same corporations that have been manipulating us for years. So we don't listen to them. We don't watch them. A lot of us like to go online. We like to look at these alternative news networks, and you got a bunch of them claiming that Trump is our savior, that he somehow bucked the system. Come on. Let's be for real. That man ain't bucked no system. He is their man. Here's the thing that's what's got a lot of you guys confused. And I can understand why you're confused. They say Trump is an outsider. He's an outsider. He's not a politician, a regular Washington politician. Okay, I can understand why you would think he's an outsider. But let me tell you something. Remember the power structure in which our country is set up under right now. We have been hijacked by corporations. Trump is a corporate man. So he is not just an insider. He is a super insider. He is one of them. Tooth and bone. That man is not an outsider. And I'm going to tell you something else about Trump. Here is a guy whose ego is so inflated and his head is so big that any little criticism of this man, he has got to run and cry and tweet about it. I mean, if I was a corporate juggernaut or a banking cartel juggernaut looking for a president to manipulate, Trump would be a manipulative person's dream. The buttons are so easy to push in that man, it doesn't make no sense. And this is what makes him weak as hell to me. He's got the backbone of boiled spaghetti. You and I, as average American citizens, most of us out here get talked about almost every day. All the time we find out somebody's saying something about us. And what do? We take the high road. We don't let that bother us. We go like this. And keep it moving. This man got to cry and tweet about it. And this is supposed to be our leader. Now, I have people always asking me when I make these shows, Joe, you're giving good information, but what's the solution? How do we change this? It's simple. Start doing what they don't want you to do. Wake up tomorrow morning with a new political ideology and say, I will not be a Democrat anymore. I'm going to study the Constitution for myself. I'm going to come up with a new political awakening for myself. I'm going to understand what the founders wanted this nation to be for myself. No longer will I peck out of the hands for Democrats for knowledge. I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and I will no longer be a Republican. Period. I will no longer be a Republican. I will wake up with a new political ideology for myself. I will study the Constitution for myself, the Declaration of Independence, and get the understanding of what our founders wanted this nation to be. There's a great damn start. Shed yourself of one of the worst ideologies that you have, because this is where they really got you fooled. Now, I know I've been talking to a lot of you about starting my own YouTube channel, and that is definitely in the works. One thing about me, when I do something, I want to do it professional. So you won't see me on that show doing a lot of freestyle talking like you see me doing now. Everything that I will do will be on a professional level. Everything that I say will have documentation, information to support any allegations or statements that I make. And I will make sure that in all the credits, every resource that I use to be able to put that show together is there so you guys can do the research for yourself. So it's going to take mass editing for me to put this together. And I would like to really get 12 shows done, downloaded on the channel, so that by the time I tell you guys to go there, start watching videos and subscribe to the channel, that there will be enough information there where I'm ahead of the game and I can always keep it fresh for you guys. And the videos will be numbered. Video 1, video 2, video 3, etc. So you will know in which order or fashion to watch them. So I'm very excited about this and I'm looking forward to it. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, I'm going to always have these, I guess you could call them fireside chats. I mean, I got a bookcase over here. I don't have a fireplace. I guess the fire's in me. So that's where the fireside chat term comes from. But I'm looking forward to being able to chat with you guys again in the future. And like I said, I will keep you posted on the progress of how everything is going. And so once again, it's been a pleasure to speak with you guys. You guys going back to what you were doing. Relax, kick your feet up. Whatever you were doing before you decided to listen to me, go back and enjoy yourself. And always remember, be your fellow American's keeper. This is Uncle Joe signing off. You guys have a good night.